So 1 week from now, we will be in Atlantic City.
Yeah, that's right.
It's pretty exciting.
It is quite exciting.
Hello and welcome to episode 7 of Due for a Win, the Atlantic City and Casino Biz podcast. I am Craig Stone. On the other end of the line is Kyle Askin.
How's everyone doing?
So first and foremost, it seems that Caesars has fixed the Total Rewards website.
I agree. You pointed it out to me, I don't know, earlier this week?
Yeah.
That you're like, holy shit, I think they actually fixed the site, and I checked, and I confirmed. It looks like, for the first time in, 3 months, the site is automatically incorporating all the deals correctly, and everything seems better.
Yeah, the first time I noticed it, I was like, this is an insane bank error in my favor, just comps all the time. And then I was like, wait a minute, this is all weekday comps.
And it's February.
And this is what I would get if I put in my codes, so I think they just fixed it. Which is the way it always used to be, right? That's the way it worked for years, so they finally got it back. So, I'm assuming that nobody at Caesars has ever heard of us, but I'm still taking credit, because we had an episode called Caesars Fix Your Website.
And they did.
So I'm gonna, there's obviously no cause and effect there, but just by timeline that we posted that first and that it happened, I think we can take credit.
Yeah, no, I'm pretty sure that we got it done.
So a quick state legislation update, something that we've been talking a lot about. Hopefully we'll not have to talk too much about it, but the big news a little over a week ago was Atlantic City saying they were going to be out of money on February 24th, which is, about 11 days from now. So what happened was a court ruled that Borgata could basically not pay their taxes until Atlantic City either pays them what Atlantic City owes them or that amount is covered. And we had talked a little bit about, are they actually going to do that? Is that in their best interests, to make Atlantic City go bankrupt? And Borgata is now saying, yes, we are taking that option. We are not going to pay our taxes. So that does not seem to be good. Christian Hetrick, who's a Press of Atlantic City writer, posted just today on Twitter that City Council President Marty Small says that February 24th sort of drop-dead date is grossly overrated and that city employees will get paid. But, whether it's the 24th or a week from then or whatever, this is bad news, right?
Yeah. It doesn't seem like great news for the city. So there's a couple of interesting points that come out of this. So first, there is the question of why is Borgata doing this? Because it would seem that it may not necessarily be in their best interest to try to push it this hard. Because like I said, 2 or 3 episodes ago, the last thing Borgata actually wants is Atlantic City to declare bankruptcy. A, because it would be bad for their business, and B, because it would be bad for them actually getting these back taxes paid back to them. So all I can assume is that they must be like, it doesn't really matter anymore. The state's going to come in and make Atlantic City whole, so we may as well just push as hard as we can to get as much money as we can. I assume, unless you have another theory.
No, I think that's probably right. But you brought up the point that Borgata doesn't really have a whole lot of leverage, right? That,
it's come up in a couple stories I've read. People are pointing out Borgata actually has no leverage. They have none. This money that they're owed isn't backed up by any collateral whatsoever. If the city declares bankruptcy, Borgata is going to be completely screwed.
Right, and I think it was Dennis Levinson of Atlantic County, the Atlantic County executive, who said basically, why would you pay them when they have no leverage and they're going to get pennies on the dollar if they actually if they actually let Atlantic City go bankrupt. So,
well, the thing is they're not paying them Worcott is just not
Right.
paying their taxes.
Right.
And they say that they're just going to be made whole when, the differences even out. But so this, I see this isn't on our agenda for today, but did you read briefly a bit earlier in the week the Levinson stuff and what Sweeney was talking about?
With the Atlantic County bonds?
Yeah, where after this all came out, Steve Sweeney's like, well, what really should happen is Atlantic County needs to be the people that bail out Atlantic City because they've got a really good bond rating, unlike Atlantic City and unlike the state of New Jersey. And, if Atlantic City doesn't pay them back, then we'll come back in and probably make Atlantic County whole.
Right, and my first reaction to that was like, is that even legal? I mean, that just sounds ridiculous. And Levinson was very quick to be like, nah, we're not doing that. We're not risking our rating. And I think the latest is that Moody's or somebody said like, this is already hurting your rating, right? Like
the mere fact that you've been mentioned in the same sentence as Atlantic City,
right? Like the fact that Atlantic City is in so much trouble is already hurting Atlantic County. So it kind of a warning, right? Of like, do this and you are really boned. So kind of the whole thing was so ridiculous. That's why I didn't include it in the show notes.
I don't know. What I read about it just cracked me up. It's like, you want to talk about someone having no leverage. Like, what leverage does the state of New Jersey have to make Atlantic County do this?
Right, yeah.
Steve Sweeney, I guess he's from Gloucester, right? Because he's like, well, if this were up in Gloucester, we'd handle this at the local level and we wouldn't have to get the state involved to take care of this.
Yeah, no, the suggestion was so ridiculous, but still, like, somehow not out of character at all for, like, Christie or Sweeney, right? Like, it wasn't really a surprising thing to say, other than it just seems so stupid.
I don't know. It just cracked me up.
So, yeah, totally ridiculous. So the other thing is the state financial, I don't know. They're not calling it a takeover. It's really hard not to call it a takeover now. But they're sort of assuming a more active role in Atlantic City's finances. And so this appears to be on track to be introduced Tuesday. It was supposed to be introduced this past Wednesday, and that never happened. And people in Atlantic City were apparently like, oh, we were waiting for this. You were all saying it was going to happen Wednesday, and just, nobody told us anything. So
right, and like I told you on GChat, what I originally read sort of at the beginning of this week is that it was actually Sweeney who said that, like, for them to make, like, have any chance of getting the money into Atlantic City by April 1st, it had to be passed by yesterday, I think. And then he's the one who's going to introduce this, and he didn't even introduce it yet. Right.
So now there's a draft of the bill, and that's been posted by, or at least described by the press of Atlantic City, Christian Hedrick again. So he's going to be the journalism star of this episode, apparently. So basically, the rundown is that it'll give the state power for the next 5 years, not 15, like was originally discussed. And Hedrick wrote that it would give the director of the state local finance board authority to restructure municipal debt, dissolve or transfer any municipal board, authority, department, or commission, sell, lease, dispose of, or monetize city-owned assets, and amend or terminate contracts and collective negotiation agreements. So, to me, this sounds like they're just going to appoint one dude, and that guy's going to have a whole hell of a lot of power.
Yeah. That's what it sounds like to me as well.
So that seems like a takeover in a pretty direct sense.
I don't know. I mean, I wonder if any of this is going to change or is changing because, honestly, Chris Christie didn't do as well in New Hampshire as I think he probably wanted to or needed to remain relevant. So I wonder if it seems like he's not going to be the next president of the United States, and I wonder if that changes some things. But I don't know. We'll see. I think we'll have to wait and see.
Yeah, I mean, just because this gives them the power to do that doesn't mean that they're actually going to do it. So, maybe this person's just going to be sitting there, like, holding the keys or, with his finger on the red button, ready to nuke the joint if things go wrong. But he'll kind of let the city council and Don Guardian try to do what's best first. At least that would be my hope, and I'm assuming that's what the city council and what Don Guardian are hoping for.
Yeah, I mean, so the thing for me that I don't know. I think I'm still kind of. It felt like the whole thing has felt a little funny, like how Don Guardians went along with this, and then the whole city council went along with it, and how everybody seems kind of like fine with it going down. Like I wonder if I feel like there's like going to be another shoe that drops at some point, and like then it's like all going to make sense, but I still don't really get it right now.
Yeah, something has to come out. I think you're right. Something has to come out here.
Like something like. There's just something I don't understand that's going on.
Do you think it's something that we're not going to know until we start seeing it in action, or it'll just become more clear when they vote on stuff?
I mean, maybe. I mean, maybe it's... I don't know. I mean, maybe it's not going to get passed in this form at all, or maybe it's... I mean, it seems like it is, though, because, Whalen says that he's okay with it, and... I don't know.
Yeah,
I don't know.
And Whalen would be the primary opposition.
Like, I don't understand why there's no one in Atlantic City speaking out about this. So,
yeah, the only thing I can think of is that they're just in such dire straits that they feel like they don't have a choice.
Maybe.
So one thing that it does not allow is for the state to sell or do anything else with the Municipal Utilities Authority for 1 year. So basically, Sweeney and Christie had really pushed for the city to sell their utilities, and the city was really against it, and so this seems like it's some sort of compromise of saying, hey, give us a year to sort of figure this out, and then if it's still desperate, we'll talk again in a year.
Yeah, I mean, I think given a lot of the stuff that's come out over the last 2 or 3 weeks about Flint and about what happened when the state took over the city of Flint's water supply. I mean, I would assume that would have people, at least in Atlantic City, a little bit gun-shy about the state coming in and running their water supply when, by all accounts, the city's done a fine job of running it. But I don't know. I mean, we'll see.
So, more upbeat news, more fun, less state legislature bureaucracy. The Wild Wild West, one of my former favorites, now not so much, is making some changes. So when we went last time, and we discussed this on, I think, our very first episode, the Wild Wild West had removed the mountain scene, sort of, that was there right when you walked in from the boardwalk, and it was this weird, broken, animatronic cowboy and donkey. He was actually a miner. And originally I think he was like kneeling down and sifting through the water for gold, and then he was like sort of propped up like a Weekend at Bernie's character. I guess Bernie would be that character. But anyways, that it was just flat, sort of weird, fake textured floor and a stage. And so what they have now put in that empty area is the Boardwalk Saloon. So that is opening this weekend. I'm assuming it is open right now. And basically they are trying to go after the young people, which is something we've talked about quite a bit. They say it's going to have indoor and outdoor seating. Atlantic City Weekly reported on this and had some quotes from Bally's Regional Vice President of Food and Beverage, Joseph Giunta. And I'm going to assume that this is just from a press release, but maybe that's wrong. He says, the saloon has front row seats to where the entertainment is. The miner is dead and gone, which is very sad. I like the miner. Well, in his previous iteration, I liked the miner. Think urban country Americana with corrugated tin on the front of the bar. A lot of distressed wood. Distressed wood, Kyle. Distressed wood. Festoon lighting and uniforms for the staff that will include Daisy Duke jean shorts for the ladies, with vests and jeans and biker vests for the guys. I don't know why there are two types of vests listed, but seems like it's kind of an expansion of the Mountain Bar. It's in the same area as the Mountain Bar.
Yeah, it sounds basically the same. I mean, to me it sounds kind of like that mixed with, like, I don't know, Coyote Ugly or something like that.
And so Giunta followed up by saying the idea is to round out the vision of an entertainment venue and an appeal to a younger demographic. He says they'll have a great frozen drink menu, handcrafted whiskey cocktails, and 16 taps, many of which will pour fun, hard-to-find craft beers. So I like hard-to-find craft beers. I will be interested to see if it's actually like good South Jersey local breweries or maybe even Philly breweries and not, Sam Adams Seasonal and Shock Top and Leinenkugels and Goose Island, which are all owned by huge, Miller or Anheuser-Busch. So we'll see what that actually is. Does this interest you at all?
Sure. I'd go.
Yeah, I mean, I like beer. I like drinking.
Yeah,
I like the atmosphere of the Wild Wild West if it's hopping.
Have you? I don't think I'd ever. I've been going to Atlantic City for a while. I don't know if I'd ever describe Wild Wild West as hopping.
I think when they had the cheap table games in that big corridor that's now totally empty, it wasn't necessarily hopping, but it had a good crowd, and it had a young crowd, and that was like the place that I like to gamble, because I was cheap and young. And that's gone now.
You loved you some dollar blackjack with a quarter ante?
Yeah, the best part was it Craig, our friend Craig, who was playing there, and the dealer was just saying how it's like the worst bet in the casino, because you're giving them a quarter.
Right.
You're like, here's 25% house edge before we even play the game. Yeah, that's not good for you.
No.
So that's the saloon. I've seen pictures. It kind of looks like it's just, well, I've seen an artist rendering and then pictures during construction. It kind of looks like it's just stuck in the middle of that floor. So I'm interested to see what the actual execution is. How they section it off. There were no seats in what I saw, so that's not necessarily the best the best thing to go on. But we'll hopefully go see it next week, and we can talk about it with a more educated point of view.
Yeah, check it out.
So a couple other things. The AC Snack Shack is going to be opening in the old Wild About Wings space in early April. That was like the snack stand by the Mechanical Bull and the beer pong tables.
Mm-hmm.
It is a grab-and-go concept, according to the article. I'm guessing it's going to be almost exactly the same as Wild About Wings.
I would think so.
So not too much to get excited about there. The other thing that Spally's really wanted to promote and sent an email out, very excited about, is Guy's Barbecue Joint, opening in May with a boardwalk storefront. I'm assuming that this is where Gaptooth Gertie's was. And if you don't know what Gaptooth Gertie's is, I don't know that I can explain it because I'm not sure I ever saw it open.
It used to be Guthrie's, right?
I thought Guthrie's was the snack stand, but maybe I'm wrong.
No, I don't think so. I think it was like sort of under that escalator you go down when you're coming from Caesars.
So that's where Gaptooth Gertie's is. Mm-hmm. So I'm assuming, just based on the artist renderings, that that's also going to be where Guy's Barbecue Joint will be. It's kind of an odd space in that even when you go down the escalator, you could miss it.
Right. It is super weird because it's like behind you as you go down the escalator.
But I'm assuming that they're relying on boardwalk walk-ups. Like the draw is going to be people walking down the boardwalk.
Right.
So
it's not much of a draw except for, like 3 months out of the year, but
right.
Sure.
So there is a Guy's Barbecue Joint in the Baltimore Horseshoe, and that, as I understand it, is the only other one that exists.
So, as you know, me and a bunch of my buddies down here went to the Horseshoe last weekend, and we did eat at Guy's, but we ate at Guy's Kitchen and Grill, I believe, not the barbecue joint. But surprisingly, so there's like a very famous, or at least famous among my friends, review of one of Guy Fieri's restaurants in the New York Times from a few years ago. That's absolutely amazing. So we thought that our experience at Guy's was going to just be horrible, and the only reason we went is because the other two restaurants in the Horseshoe were closed at Saturday at noon for some reason, but whatever. They were closed, so we had to go to Guy's to use, I had the $100 Diamond meal credit, basically, so we used that at Guy's, and it was surprisingly mediocre. I mean, it was fine.
Mediocre as a compliment in this instance. Mediocre as...
It was better than I thought it would be. I mean, it was totally fine. It wasn't great. I don't know if I want to go back, but it's like, if it's open and you're there, it's like completely acceptable.
That's not the highest praise, but it's also not as damning as that New York Times article, for sure.
It surpassed expectations, but I think the key was, like, our expectations were, like, super low.
Yeah, I mean, my expectations for Guy's barbecue joint are certainly super low.
Samuel is interested in having some Guy Fieri cooked food.
Yes, he's interested in barking outside for nothing, probably. Anyways, so moving on to something we've talked about in the last episode, which was our listener, Steve, who actually was at the Golden Nugget when we recorded the last episode. So we kind of were wondering, like, maybe he's there, maybe he's having a good time. He wrote back to say he was indeed there, and he has a little trip report for us. So I just want to sort of run down what he had to say, and we can talk a little bit about his experience and his what he got from the host and all that kind of stuff. So he said the casino, he liked the way the casino flowed and the layout with the bars. If you want to take a break, there are multiple options without having to walk too far. The only negative for me was that there were not as many table games as Caesars or Bally's. We did not play table games at all at Golden Nugget, so I can't really speak to that. He said the room was very clean, which is the only thing I really cared about. The beds were comfortable, and I was pleased with the conditions. I felt the bathroom was small, which was the only negative. I would say the room was better than the rooms at Bally's, but not as nice as the Centurion Tower at Caesars. He was not super impressed with Vic and Anthony's steak. He said everything else there was good. He said the food at the Chairman's Club was outstanding, although there was a little bit less of a selection than the Diamond Lounges. And overall, he said, I'm happy with the experience, and I'm most likely switching from Caesars to the Golden Nugget. The host I have gave me a chairman card right off the bat, took care of my room and food. Now the question becomes, do I stay at Caesars if my friend's host is going to take care of me the same as the guy at the Golden Nugget, or do I split my time? Meaning, so he has a friend who has a host at Caesars. He also now, I think, had a host reach out to him from Caesars, so he's wondering, if he's going to get the same treatment from Caesars, should he switch? He said, I may end up going with the Golden Nugget, going to the Golden Nugget when I'm by myself, and when I go with my friends, go to Caesars. So what do you think about that plan? Sort of, when he's got the buddy with the host, go to Caesars, otherwise go use his host at Golden Nugget.
I think that's fair. I mean, so in the hierarchy of, like, what's important to get comped, frequency of trips definitely is a factor, and you will get comped better if you come back more often. But it's not nearly as important as how much you play at the casino per trip. So I would definitely say, no matter what, if you're going to stay at Caesars for one trip and deal with that host, just only play at Caesars. If you're going to go to Golden Nugget for a trip, only play at Golden Nugget, if getting comped is your main goal. But I think that plan sounds perfectly reasonable to me.
Yeah, and I think with as frequently as he's going, I mean, he's going once a month or more, it's not like if he goes 1 out of 3 or 1 out of 4 times to Caesars, that Golden Nugget's going to be like, oh, we were expecting you, right? Like, they're going to still see him as playing a lot at Golden Nugget. So I kind of thought about this a lot, and the one thing that I kept coming back to is, you're not required to pledge your allegiance to one host, right? Then as often as Steve is going, like we talked about, if you're playing at Caesars only part of that time, he's going to reach diamond status soon enough without ever having to worry about playing exclusively at one place. And once he's diamond at Caesars, he can get the status match at Borgata. At that point, he'd have the chairman card, which that's a pretty nice perk, just, right off the bat being given the elite status, which is there. There's another one below chairman that's not the base level.
Yeah, for the most part, for most of the casinos, the level you actually want is the third level. I think the only exception I can think of is Borgata.
Right. So they have red and black, and that's it, right?
Yep. There is a level above black, but it's like the equivalent of 7 stars or whatever. I mean, it's way up there.
Right. So at that point, you'd have chairman at Golden Nugget, diamond at Caesars, Harrah's, and Bally's, the black card at Borgata. And so then you've got 5 of the 8 casinos covered.
Yep.
All that leaves...
Which reminds me, I actually need to get... While we're there next week, I need to get matched into Chairman's Club.
Oh, you can get matched at Golden Nugget?
Well, at least I haven't looked into it at all for over 6 months. But what it used to be is they will match you, but your card is only good for 3 months. And then you need to meet in those 3 months, basically whatever the play equivalent is to get Chairman's Club. You need to hit a quarter of that to keep it for another year after that.
But your diamond's going to expire, so it's now or never.
Correct. Yeah. So there's no reason for me not to get it this time. And then maybe if we go in like April or May or something, I'll have Chairman at Golden Nugget.
So speaking of doing status match, obviously when you get the status matched card, you're not going to get the same quality of comps as if you had earned it through play, right?
Yeah. So in my experience, definitely not. I mean, actually, I don't have to say my experience. As a fact, you will not get the same experience or the same perks as if you had earned it. I've never really gotten great Borgata comps. I mean, I get all right comps. I get some weekdays comp. I get emails all the time saying weekdays that I can go up there and stay for free, but it's weekdays in Atlantic City, so that's not really that much of a perk, honestly. But yes, if you actually want to get like all the perks, like free room and board and stuff, you basically need to actually play there or have a relationship with a host.
Right. So, part of that is also that, you got the black card, and then we still did a lot of our play at Caesars, like we talked about. We still,
right.
You had diamond status and black at the same time. So I'm assuming for Steve's purposes, he's gambling enough that if he were to get the black card, get the free trip that comes, you're guaranteed, I think, a free trip, right? When you get the black card.
You get black?
Yeah.
So it depends. I did not get a free trip. Like, I didn't, and you're supposed to get a free room and some other stuff. But I already had a card at Borgata. If you're a new member and you get matched into black, you get that stuff. If you are an existing red card member, you don't get any of it.
Oh,
at least that's how it was when I got first status matched a couple years ago or whatever.
Okay, so that's interesting. I'm assuming that's because they already know a little bit.
They already know I'm a shit player.
Right, so if you do have the option to get that free trip, and you go, and like for Steve's purposes, if he goes and gambles the way he typically does at Golden Nugget or Caesars, but spends all his time at Borg on just that one trip, I'm assuming they're going to keep the free rooms coming.
I would assume so. I mean, it's probably a little bit harder to get like a weekend free room at Borg than it is at Caesar's property or Golden Nugget, but I don't know. That would just be me guessing. I mean, I certainly wouldn't know for sure.
So,
although I get, I haven't played that much at Borg at all, and I do get quite a few weekday rooms.
And the other,
so maybe that's just not true.
Yeah, I don't know. The other thing is that they're super generous with match play. So
I think they're generally speaking generous. I mean, I think they're kind of seen as the players' casino.
Well, I mean, we talk about all the things that Borgata does right that the others don't do right, and add that to the list. So, again, I mean, this all goes back to that ADT, right? The average daily theoretical, and we're kind of saying basically that it's not like you have to go to the same casino every time you go, but if you're really concerned about the comps, if what you really want to do is make sure that the casinos are treating you right, it's probably better to stick with one each trip. Is that accurate?
I would think that's probably true. Unless you're like a local and you go there all the time, then it probably doesn't matter as much. Then it's more like just how much money you spend there. But yeah, if you're like an out of towner like us or like Steve or whatever, I would stick with. And you really care about comps, which I don't think we do, which is why we don't stick to one casino per trip. But if comps are what's important to you, you probably should stick to one casino per trip.
So was my thoughts on that whole thing. Was basically, if you're looking for the most possible options, that's kind of the way to go. Get the diamond status, get your status matches. You'll have 5 of the 8 casinos covered. You probably don't even care that much about the other 3 because they're Tropicana Resorts and Trump. And, don't worry about sort of feeling disloyal to your host because you're still going to Golden Nugget often enough, probably, that he's not going to feel offended. So one of the things that I was thinking about out of all this is, are we screwing ourselves by how much we bounce around? Like, we go to Atlantic City and we don't stay at any one casino for more than like 4 hours, right? We bounce from casino to casino. That was one benefit of Total Rewards, is you could bounce from Bally's to Caesars to Harrah's and still be getting comps in the same system. But
I actually think the way Caesars does it is a little weird. I think there is some relation between their different casinos, but I don't think it's like completely the same system. I think they do kind of like somewhat separate your comps, but sure.
Yeah, I agree with that because I think there was a while where I was gambling a lot at Caesars, and my rates at Caesars were actually better than my rates. For a very brief time, were better than my rates at Bally's and Harrah's.
Well, I got my diamond at Caesars, and right now when I look for the Friday we're going, a week from today, my rate is the best at Caesars right now.
Ah, interesting. So I get what you'd expect, which is Bally's the cheapest, Harrah's, and then Caesars.
And Caesars is by far, of those 3 casinos, I get slot play at all 3. Caesars is by far the most generous out of the 3 of them.
Oh, wow. Well, I don't get shit from any of them for slot play. It's like, here's $5 on some day that you'll never be able to come.
Yeah, I mean, so Bally's and Harrah's, they tend to get either 5 or 10, and then Caesars will get anywhere between like 20 to 25 to 30 maybe.
So do you feel like we, if we're leaving Caesars, should we really focus on one place, or do you kind of feel like, well, we're not really getting big comps anyway?
How much does it? So I have this like completely irrational, which I will fully admit, but I don't like paying for hotel rooms. And it's like a totally irrational thing because it's not that expensive, honestly. And like, what's the difference really between paying like, $50 for a room and $0 for a room? Well, I mean, the answer is $50, but if it was the difference between $50 and $100, I wouldn't bat an eye at it. But the difference between $50 and free seems like this humongous mountain. That's just, it's impossible for me to not look at those two and just rate them wildly differently. So, like that, my hang up is I really like getting free rooms, but honestly, if I want to be rational about it, like if we're having more fun by going to the different casinos and seeing what's there, then why would we tie ourselves down to one casino to try to save $50 per trip on a room?
Right. I mean, gambling relies on some irrationality as a baseline, right? But I'm with you. I'm totally with you on that. We've talked about our Vegas trips, how we end up in these insanely long email chains with our friends about which room should we go to, and I'm always, in my head, in my brain, I am thinking, like, this is so dumb. We should just go to the nicest room because it's, $120 a night. And what, if you're splitting that 2 or 3 ways, what difference does it make? But in my head, I see that comp and I just want it. I want it. And part of it, and I think I have to admit this to myself, is that I feel sort of this sense of, like, yeah, I am a high roller, which I'm not. I'm not at all. But I have earned these comps. They respect my play more than my friends who don't get these comps. So I don't want to use the deal that just anybody can find on the internet, on like on whatever hotels.com or whatever those hidden deal Travelocity type sites. I don't want that. I want my comp, which is totally stupid. It's totally dumb, but that's the way I think.
Yeah, no, like I said, I agree. I'm totally get hung up on comp, and like I said, the difference between comp and $50 seems like this mountain that's absolutely insurmountable, and the difference between $50 and $100 to me is basically zero, and it makes no sense.
Yeah, well, that's our weird hang-ups. So we'll talk a little bit more about our upcoming trip and how we're going to break that down in a second. Just finishing up on the Steve portion, he made a note that I have to comment on because I thought it was really funny. He said, "My wife thinks we're insane because all my buddy and I talk about is gambling or golf." Yeah, I'm assuming you're the same way. I talk about Atlantic City or Vegas. Well, there's no measure because my wife doesn't care about hearing about it at all. So I kind of feel like, as soon as I bring it up, her brain probably just shuts off and she doesn't want to hear about it because what does she care? And I still can't stop myself. I just can't stop myself from bringing it up because, like, if there's something in my head and I'm thinking about it about Atlantic City or I'm thinking about something random about some game I want to play, I have to say it. It has to be verbalized, which is, again, so stupid. But so I can totally relate to where Steve's coming from there. I don't know if you have the same thing with your wife, but I'm gonna guess maybe your filter's better than mine. I don't know.
Maybe I don't know. I don't feel like I have that problem. But my wife actually really likes Atlantic City and Vegas. So
okay. A slight difference.
Yeah.
So Steve asked us a couple questions, just specifics. What do we bet and what do we get in comps? So basically just games and amounts is what he was asking. And I replied in the email to tell him, but I figured we could go ahead and say it so others can know, open up our bank accounts to other people. So what do you play? What games do you play? What amounts do you typically play? When you walk into the casino, what are you looking for, seeking out on the casino floor?
Oh, I don't know what you put for me, but I'll basically play anything. I like being in a casino and sitting down at a table and getting free drinks and just gambling. So I'll really play anything and everything. The places I'm most likely to be at any given time, probably a blackjack table or, recently in the last couple of years since we've learned the rules, a tiles table. But, I've been known to play craps. I played quite a bit of craps last weekend when we were at the Horseshoe. Played some Pai Gow poker at the Horseshoe. I that I played quite a lot of video poker. So I can really play anything. And the amounts, it's if there's a $10 blackjack table, I'm certainly not above going there and playing. But I'm fine with playing $15 or $25 blackjack or whatever other games.
Yeah, and I think you also change your bets more than I do. Like if I'm sitting at a $10 blackjack table, my bet's not moving from $10.
A little bit, but not a ton.
So I would say I play vast majority video poker. A 25-cent jacks or better, max coin. So I'm not getting any kind of comps for that really. And then if we go to Borg, I'll sit down and play tiles. We've had 3-4 hour tile sessions at Borgata, and a big part of that's like the dealers are always great. The other players there are always fantastic, which is my big concern as a white person sitting at the tiles table, which is typically a very Asian game. It's typically in the Asian room, and it's not in the Asian room at Borgata, or at least that table that we always end up at is not. I guess, do they even have an Asian room, or is it just that wing is kind of the Asian section?
At Borgata?
Yes.
It's basically that wing, although they might have a high limit Asia room.
Yeah,
actually I think they do.
We wouldn't need to know about that.
No.
So
I know I think they have real baccarat at Borgata, which is actually pretty rare for a place to have proper baccarat where everyone deals and stuff like that.
So one of the things about Borgata is that when I sit down, the other players at the table are very happy to look at my hand and sort of point out what I should be doing and what the houseway is versus what they would do, and they have fun with it, whereas I've been to certainly Total Rewards properties where people are kind of like, oh, this guy again, is taking too long. So that's a big reason that I really like Borgata, but that's kind of getting off the question. it's pretty rare that I'll play even quarter blackjack. If I'm playing blackjack, it's almost always $15. I play some Pai Gow poker, which is usually, I guess, either 20 or 25, depending on the place, but you're not going to find limits lower than that anyway. And then as far as what I get for comps, pretty much weekday rooms, I get $5, $10 slot play from Caesars. I'll get, $25 or even $50 match play from Borgata, which is shocking because I've done so little gambling there compared to what I've done at Caesars. But I don't get that much. I get 2-for-1 buffets, which is like a throwaway. And so not really that much in the way of comps. I don't know, do you do better at Total Rewards than that? Do you get better match play or better slot play or food offers or anything?
So the match play I tend to get, or I get slot play at Total Rewards. So locally at the Horseshoe, I tend to get $10 anytime I go. It's Bally's and Harrah's, it's usually either 5 or 10, and at Caesars it's like 25 normally. So not a lot, but something.
So one of the things that I'm really interested in, and this is a good segue into our trip, I'd just like to thank Steve again for the emails. Him and I have actually been emailing back and forth a decent amount. But getting into our trip that is now a week away, as we've mentioned, I'm very excited, is I'm very interested to see, if we go one place for a day and basically say we're going to spend most of our day at whatever casino it is, whether it's Tropicana or Borgata or any of the others, what we get out of that. And part of it is kind of, we're not a real clean study because we've gambled at all these places before and we have players' cards at all these places before. So it's not like we're coming in clean with as total unknowns and they're going to comp us based on our one day's play. But, my Tropicana card is inactive, I just found out. And I tweeted them saying, your site's down, and then the next day I tried to log in, and it said, your account's been deactivated, because I haven't been in so long. So sorry, Tropicana. So I'm interested to see how that works. And one of the funny thing about Tropicana especially is I've a couple of times gone in there for 10 minutes. I've used their bus terminal or something, and I've played video poker for 10 or 15 minutes and put my card in like a moron. And so one of the things that I was really wondering is, does that just crush your ADT, or do they see this really brief session and say, well, that's an outlier, let's get rid of it? Or are they you're clearly staying somewhere else, go screw off, we don't even want you here?
I'm probably not the right person to ask because I don't really know, but I would guess that it's not good for your ADT.
Oh yeah,
if you're gonna gamble somewhere for 5 minutes, I wouldn't put your card in.
Right, and that is just my OCD. Is I feel like I have to have my card in, and I think I had this idiotic idea that's I want them to know that I'm alive, and maybe they'll send me offers, and it's that's not how it works, you moron. So I'm interested to see if I can sort of rectify that situation if we do end up spending our time at Trop. So our trip, we are going Friday to Saturday, a one-night trip. So what do you want to do? Starting, I guess, with which casino do we want to focus on, since I don't think we ever really set our sights on one place.
I don't know. What do you? We've been talking about Trop a lot. Do we want to do that, or do we want to do? I would say Trop or Borg, probably, right?
Yeah, the Borg's generosity is a real draw. Tropicana, I like the casino a lot, and I don't spend much time there. Listening or sort of reading about Steve's treatment at Golden Nugget has me interested in giving Golden Nugget another shot. I know neither of us really came away feeling great about Golden Nugget's casino floor when we were there last time. Although if you're going to go get a chairman card, we'll give it clearly, we'll at least give it another 2 minutes.
So I do have to say, I do want to at least go to the Trop this trip and talk to them about getting a gold card. I don't know if they're going to give it to me or not, but I've seen rumors on forums online that people have gotten one in the past. And I do want to go to Golden Nugget and get a chairman card using my diamond card while I still have it for the next month. Because this will be my last trip to Atlantic City as a diamond member.
So are we saying we are focusing on a couple of casinos, or are we just going to go back to our old ways of bouncing around all over the place?
I don't know. I haven't really thought about it. I think that if we want to try to see if we get comps at a different casino, we should focus on it. If we don't really care, then we can just play at a bunch of different casinos.
Yeah, I mean, I think a big part of it's going to be sort of going which way the wind blows us. You know, if we go to Tropicana and we are really enjoying it, then we can stay there.
Right.
If we are kind of not feeling it or losing or, you know, don't love the renovations, we can bail and try another place. So
I don't know if we've talked about this yet on the podcast. I know we at least talked about it before we went on the air, but you know, we haven't gotten comps yet for our trip in a week, but we are both pretty confident that Monday or Tuesday we're going to get that Friday comped on the Caesars website. Where would you want to stay, assuming I can stay in any of the 3 Caesars locations?
I mean, ideally, I would like to see the Bally's Jubilee rooms, the new Jubilee rooms.
So I have been checking, and there were a bunch of rooms available in all the casinos. Like if I checked like last Monday for today, or if I checked Monday for today, but the Jubilee rooms were not one of them. But it was like everything else in Bally's, and it was everything in Harrah's, like everything. There was even a couple suites in Harrah's. And
I was even getting the comp suites in the Atrium suites, which I think used to be for Diamond members only.
Right.
So that's.
And I didn't get the Centurion Tower in Caesars, but I got a couple of the other ones. It wasn't only Atrium or whatever, Temple or whatever the bad one is.
Yeah, I mean, I think with Caesars it kind of comes down to which rooms you're getting in which casino. So like the Dennis Tower has renovated rooms in Bally's, so if it's between Dennis Tower rooms and Atrium Tower rooms at Caesars, I would take the Dennis Tower rooms.
I've never actually stayed in the Dennis Tower.
Me neither. I mean, me neither. I've only stayed in the Bally's, the big.
I mean, it's like quintessential Atlantic City. It's like what you see when you're on the boardwalk, or like you pull up in the bus and it's like got the terrible facade.
It's a great facade. I love that facade. I'm dead serious. I love that facade.
I mean, I feel like it's something that we have to do, right? And it certainly can't be worse than when we stayed in the Claridge when it was owned by Bally's.
No. So I would be interested in staying in the Dennis Tower. That's actually what I had booked in January for my anniversary that we ended up having to cancel. Although, you know, if a Centurion Tower room comes up, it's going to be really hard to turn that down. Right. I would prefer, I think, one of those 2 casinos over Harrah's, just because we stayed at Harrah's last time.
Even if Waterfront Tower is open? Because I was getting Waterfront.
I guess, again, it depends. You know, if it's Waterfront versus, like, crappy Bally's rooms versus crappy Temple Tower rooms, then I'm going to want to, Waterfront's going to win. But
yeah, I mean, the big problem with Harrah's is it's like, we kind of have to finish our night out at Harrah's if we're at Harrah's, right? Whereas if we're on the boardwalk, we can finish our night out at any casino on the boardwalk and just walk back.
Yeah, so I'm pushing. I'll push for boardwalk on that.
I mean, we could always get a cab or something, so we don't have to. But
that's true. Uber. So what else? What do you want to do? Is there anything specific that you want to do on your trip? Is it just wander around, gamble?
Yeah, I mean, since we're now officially, this is our first trip to Atlantic City since we've become Atlantic City celebrities in our own minds. We should at least walk around, see some of the new stuff they've done, so we can talk about it in a competent manner and see what they're doing.
Yeah, so I've actually, since I'm OCD or something, and I don't know if I can really say I'm OCD, but I have made lists. I think of things that I want to do, and I'll put them in a Google spreadsheet and be like, oh, I really should make sure I do this. And I never do any of those things, but I do make lists like a weirdo. Especially since I've been listening to more gambling and Vegas podcasts and kind of heard them talk about things that they like, and I've kind of been thinking like, oh, I never really think about that, or I've kind of always just thought like that sounds dumb, but when these people talk about it, I'm actually kind of excited about it. So one of the big things is video poker at a video poker bar, which usually is not where the best video poker is, although B Bar at the Borgata, which is like their sort of central bar, does have good video poker according to VPFree2.com.
A great website, by the way. Anyone who is interested in video poker at all, you have to go to VPFree2.com.
Yeah, just really great for finding where good machines are. 10 North Lounge is a new video poker bar and kind of lounge. I mean, it has lounge in the name. At Tropicana. They, I think, do not have good video poker. Tropicana, according to VP Free, does not have very good video poker, period. Although in 2015 they were named best video poker, place to play video poker in Atlantic City by like Casino Player magazine or something like that. So,
Trop. I mean, I'm looking now. It has 9-6 jacks or better.
But only the dollar, right?
Yeah, that's fine.
Ah, man, dollar too rich for my blood, Kyle.
I mean, I made diamond by playing 5,000 spins of $2.
So that was one thing I mentioned. There are a couple of the Vegas podcasts that talk about this a lot, like playing video poker at a video poker bar. Part of it's just the D has a couple of big video poker bars, and they're always talking about that. Obviously, the D is very far from Atlantic City. It's in downtown
Yeah, we're probably
Las
not
Vegas.
going to go there on Friday.
I would also be interested in hanging out at a bar that does not have gambling, although I'm pretty sure I won't do that.
Well, we could go to the New Bally's bar we talked about.
That's true. Yeah, I'd go hang out there. Sure, why not?
The kind of fake Coyote Ugly.
It's so cheap. And they raised all the prices by $1, and it's still insanely cheap. Like, it used to be $2 beers, and I think now it's $3 beers, but still $3. I mean, that's like, it's nothing. Again, on the video poker kick, so I've been playing a lot of videopoker.com. I don't know if you ever use videopoker.com.
I'm not familiar with it, no.
So it's basically just a video poker site that has all the games, and it's like...
Does it tell you when you make a mistake?
It does if you pay for it, which I do, because I want to know, even though it hasn't really improved my play at all. So one of the games, though, is Barnyard Poker, which I actually found out about through Wizard of Odds, because they posted a review of it before it made it to any of the Atlantic City casinos. And so I played that on videopoker.com, and it's really fun. It's really stupid in a fun way, where these little animals, as you get pairs or better on your bottom hand, it's like a multiplay, I think 3 or 5. I think it's 3. It's 3 hands. And your bottom hand, if you get a pair or better, there are 2 animals if you're betting max coin, and they sort of inflate. And as they get bigger and bigger, they get to like a multiplier, and eventually they explode and cascade multipliers down your 3 hands. And so that's how you win big money. And so basically the advice is like, don't leave a table when you've got a big multiplier, don't leave a machine when you've got a big multiplier. And if you see a machine open that has a big multiplier, like, go sit at it. I'm sure it's significantly worse for you than normal jacks or better. But it's fun in a weird way, even though it's just basically typical video poker. And I know they have it at Golden Nugget and at Borgata. Tropicana doesn't list their slots on their site, so I don't know about them. But that's something I'd be interested in doing. I'd really like to play more roulette and craps. I don't know if it's just that from the emails to Steve, but something about higher variance, is pulsing through my veins, and I want to do something a little higher variance than Pai Gow poker and 25-cent video poker.
You know me, man. I love craps, but it can be, you're going to win or lose a lot of money fast.
Yeah, and I've actually never had a losing session in craps, and I'm worried that when I do, it's gonna be bad. That's how it works, right?
Yeah.
So that's one of the things. I've sort of been playing roulette on my phone, and when it's fake chips, you don't get the same sense of danger of just a realization of just how fast things can go bad. So in my mind, I'm like, if you bet $20 on black or red and then spread $10 around in the numbers, like, you're not going to get hurt that bad that fast. But that's still, $30.
Right, you're just guaranteeing that you lose a little bit of money every hand.
Right, so, and also Atlantic City has the, split money bet, I think. So my understanding is that if you bet, $20 on black or red or odds, evens, and 0 or double 0 comes up, you actually get half your bet back, which actually makes it not a bad bet. Like, it cuts the house edge on those in half, because that's what the house edge is. So,
right, but the inside is still atrocious.
Oh yeah, yes, but the inside's fun, man. That's when you.
Yeah, the inside's the best part.
So
I mean,
when you,
I play for the inside. I don't play to play odd or even.
Right. I mean, that's when you.
Or red or black.
When you play all your, Orioles Hall of Famers numbers and stuff like that, and that's a good time. So I'm interested in doing that. I don't know if you have any interest in playing roulette.
I mean, if you're playing, I'll play. But I don't know if I'd say I have interest, but I'll be social. I'll do it.
Yeah, and other than that, just some of the new stuff. Renovations at Trop. I haven't been since they did last summer's updates. So I'd like to see that. I'd like to see the Boardwalk Saloon, like we mentioned, although I'm kind of expecting disappointment. And then some of the other new stuff, Chickies and Pete's at Tropicana is opened last summer. It's kind of a big sports bar food place. I think it's based in Philly. That's supposed to be pretty good. And then what about local joints, non-casino places?
I would say what I would want to do if we did something is, I mean, we could go get dinner somewhere or something like that.
So do you have a place that you're thinking of dinner, or are you...
I mean, the place I'd always kind of like to see because it's famous is Chef Vola's, but I don't know.
Yeah, I mean,
I've honestly, as shameful as this is for someone who has a podcast about Atlantic City, I've never been to White House.
Yes, so that's on my list, White House Subs, which is supposed to be fantastic. I mean, it's something that we've talked about for years and never made it. The other one that I see all the time and hadn't thought about until they declared bankruptcy is Tony's Baltimore Grill, which looks like this really weird dive-y bar that supposedly serves pretty good pizza, and it's right behind the Tropicana.
Yep.
So I'd be sort of interested in popping in there. It's possible that I'd pop in and be like, just getting by, like run back to the quarter and go to Rira or whatever.
Yes.
But it looks...
Rira's good.
Oh yeah, it is good. We've been several times.
I like me some Irish bar food.
So anything else? Any games, restaurants, bars, non-casino stuff, any of that you're really dying to do, or you just want to go and experience it? And
yeah, I mean, I think you're a lot more of a planner than I am. So I just kind of go, and it's kind of wherever the wind blows me.
So the problem with being a planner is that I break those plans with great frequency.
Which makes you wonder why you waste your time being a planner.
Yeah, and another thing about that is we've talked about my gastro issues at the end of trips. And I think part of it is, especially in Vegas, is that I don't get to Vegas very often, so I think about all these things I want to do. And then the last day gets there and it's like, shit, I haven't done any of this. Or I've got, 60 hours worth of stuff that I want to do in the next 24 hours, and then that gives me great anxiety, and then I don't feel good. So yeah, maybe I should just, delete all my spreadsheets, but
yeah.
But I think with Atlantic City, I'm much better about it, where I don't feel like I have to do this. Like, if I don't go to Tony's Baltimore Grill, I'm not going to be like, that was my chance, and I missed it. So I'm not going to worry about it. I don't worry about it as much with Atlantic City as Vegas.
So, Craig, I don't want you to have to add something else to your list, but so since we're talking about VP Free, I went there. It looks like Caesars is a brand new, basically 100% return, double Joker Wild game that is full comps, and it's a quarter.
How is that possible?
I have no idea how to play double Joker Wild, but that sounds right up your alley.
Right, so it's not actually 100% return because I have no idea how to play it.
Right.
Although I have,
You can learn in the next week.
Yeah,
I'm sure it's on videopoker.com, right?
I'm sure it is. Find out what I'm doing wrong, and then in the process forget everything I know about how to play jacks are better.
Jacks are better, super easy. I'm sure you won't forget it.
Yeah, except I'm still usually in like 96% as far as getting hands right. Although the hands that I get wrong, I'm sure, are like extremely insignificant.
Right.
It's like ace. Do you keep ace 2-5 suited, or do you keep like an ace and a king, like that kind of stuff? I'm sure that doesn't make a huge difference.
Yeah. So let's see. There's 3 different 3 to a straight flushes, and that I think is type 3, which is the worst.
Right.
So.
But you do keep
Ace king.
No, ace 2-5.
Yeah. Type 3 straight through to a straight flush is better than 2 high cards.
Yes, it is. Unless videopoker.com is wrong, which is possible.
No, that's probably not.
So do you have anything else to add on our trip, our plans? We'll obviously come back with a full report.
Yeah, we'll let you know exactly what we did and how everything went, and we'll probably have some fairly interesting information. We'll find some stuff out about at least status matching and a few other things at a couple different casinos, and we can report back on how the new bar at Bally's is. And
there's not a 0% chance that we end up drinking and going to the Diamond Lounge and just playing at Caesars and Bally's, right?
I would say that, yeah, it's definitely not 0%.
It's because
I've been to the Caesars Diamond Lounge, and it's kind of meh, in my opinion. The Bally's Diamond Lounge is amazing.
Yeah, so, we talk about, like,
I've never been to the Harrah's Diamond Lounge. I do want to go to the Harrah's Diamond Lounge.
Yeah, we should make it a point to do that.
Since I only have Diamond for,
10 more minutes.
A month.
But yeah, we do talk about sort of like, we're going to go to the Diamond Lounge and then we're just going to go straight to another casino. But, who knows if the craps table will call and, that walk along the boardwalk is not going to be so enticing after a few beers at the Diamond Lounge, which is...
If it's like, I think tomorrow, at least here, I don't know what it's going to be like up near you, but I think the high is like 17 or something.
Yep.
So
same.
If it's like that, I'm sure I'm not really going to want to walk from Bally's to Trop or something.
It's when you get the pushcart guy.
No, I don't want the pushcart guy.
So unless you have anything else to add, I think we can go ahead and close it up there, right around an hour.
Right around an hour. Yep.
So you can find our podcasts. You can comment on our podcasts. We now have a comment form. We are in the process of building a forum. Maybe I shouldn't say that until it's actually up, but we're working on it. At doforawin.com. You can find us on iTunes by searching Do for a Win or Atlantic City. We're the first podcast series that comes up when you search for Atlantic City on iTunes. You can comment to us or interact with us or follow us on Twitter at Do for a Win. And you can email doforawin@gmail.com, and we will respond and possibly talk about what you have to say on the show.
If you don't mind, I want to give another shout out. So we shout out Steve all the time because he's the only person who's utilized Do for a Win at Gmail. But I just want to shout out to Mike, who I believe was our first ever real listener that has interacted with us on Twitter, right?
Yes, he's interacted with us several times on Twitter.
I think he was the first, too. So
yes, he was the first person to say, like, hey, I'm listening to the podcast and I enjoy it. So that was, like, the pioneer.
And I think he sent us, he tried to get our name out there and sent us to a few different other podcasts. So thank you very much, Mike.
Yeah.
Shout out to you.
Yeah, so you too can get your name on the podcast by shilling our content.
Do you have anything else, Greg?
No, that's it. Thanks everybody for listening. We'll be in Atlantic City next week, and we'll be back the week after that with the full report.
All right. Yeah, we'll have a lot to talk to you guys about in 2 weeks.
If you need to leave earlier than that, I can leave or
stay,
do my outlet shopping for a few minutes and then leave.
Honestly, you could do that while I'm at the table because it seems like I always want to gamble more than you anyway.